first time I remember coming to church at Flatwoods, Uncle AC had a old GMC pickup truck. We didn't have a car, so he'd stop and pick my mom, dad, and me and my sister up, and we'd all hop in the back and come to Flatwoods.
My church memories at Flatwoods probably began when Hinkle and I dated, and of course Corbett Collins claims that he got us together. I worked with him at the post office, so he always took credit.
When we came to Flatwoods, I just remember, we were much younger, obviously, than we are now, and just remember how friendly all the people were, and they just made you feel like you were welcome. Flatwoods is when you started getting knowing people. There was the names of Hinkle Decker, and then there was the Deckers and the Hinkles, and there was the Greens and the Beckhams and the Scroggins and the Collins, and you just had to figure out who was related to who, and you finally figured out that everyone was related to everyone else. So that was all.
When we first moved here, I thought that Hinkle's last name was Hinkledecker. And so I thought, man, he's got a long name. And his name's the Hinkledecker.
The homecomings used to be fun. We'd come and you could just see those tables lined up. Well, it was plywood and boards and everything else, and people would be sitting on the back of the tailgates or the pallets on the ground and eat, and then sing all afternoon.
Flatwoods met with Whitewater Church while they built the Rock Building, and it was finished in 1950, 1951.
Hiram Cossey came as our pastor, and it wasn't very long after he came. We were still in the old Rock Building, and that's where our service was going on. And he knew a guy that could build a building, and we built it for $30,000, and mainly because Thurman knew a bunch of builders that would come and build it for that, and that was a very rock bottom price.
There was a lot of people that knew that the Lord would bless us and help us with this, and it was just amazing. After we built the building, we filled it up immediately.
When we built the Family Center too, one of the things that in the process of planning was the fact that we didn't really know what it was going to cost. But the Lord intervened in that particular situation.
Right. That's right.
I felt the Lord's Spirit when I walked in that new sanctuary the first time.
Yes.
I could feel the Lord there. It was something I'd never felt before in our old building. So I've never doubted that the Lord wasn't here when we meet to worship. We sometimes step out and think, oh, we can't afford this, or we've never done this, but the Lord is there in every situation, and if you step out in faith, He will be there and He will bless.
But one of the most exciting things to me about all that is when we built the seminary. We could see films of those men in Lithuania in that seminary and know that we had a part in that. That was so exciting to me to know that we,
around the world,
and those
had a presence.
We were teaching those missionaries.
I can just remember when our church first began to support missionaries through Faith Promise, and what we started to see is we started with just a few missionaries, but then that continued to grow, and it changed the church's vision, and we began to develop a reputation, not only here in the community, but around the state of Arkansas and even around the United States and around the world, that we were just a mission-minded church. Just when I think back on our church's history and think about some of the challenging times that we've sometimes been through, we went through a period of time there that we had pastors, different pastors that we went through, and it just
seemed like about every 2 years.
Absolutely, and sometimes those were tough times, but then I think when we came out of that, we saw situations where the Lord just really blessed us, and when Brother Wayne came, he was here for longer than any pastor that we'd ever had, and of course I think he taught us lessons about faith and how we had to just depend on God, and of course when he passed away, that was another traumatic time for our church, and we thought, well, what's in store for us now, and why would that happen? But then what we've seen since then is God can, while we don't understand all that, God can bless through that. you know, even when we have visitors too, both missionaries or people that come, they talk about that we've got something in Flatwoods that the Lord has provided that's unique, that you don't see in a lot of churches. And I think it's the closeness and it's the, you know, the friendliness and just the love for each other. The church always had a focus on being a part of the community and being involved in the community, and it was because it was so family oriented.
And every step we've taken all through the years has been, we just seen His blessing in it. It's like we've depended on Him and He's just blessed. Whatever we start to do,
Sometimes
He
we're
just
shocked
blesses.
about it, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Lord's
Yeah.
there.
That's right, that's right.
But it all goes back to faith. When the Israelites were claiming the promised land, they had easily conquered a couple of kings and lands, and those 2.5 tribes were willing to settle there. You know, they weren't going to go on, but these lands were good. They wanted to settle there and just assume that that's what God had for them. We may feel like we have arrived. You know, we have such blessings here. Everything's good. But how much more is out there for us? You know, in the future, how much more does God have for us?